Hello YouTube, I'm Jack Clark, the Eagle Musketeer, coming to you with another video. How are you? So of course, as you can tell from the title of today's video, I'm going to be doing a theory-based video yet again. So of course, if you are or are not enjoying these theory-based videos, do tell me in the comments down below as a video response. Either way, I'm going to be doing the videos that I want to make for you, but it would be interesting to see whether or not you are enjoying these. If you're not, whether or not you have an opinion on what stuff I should do in future. Would you like these to be less frequent, more frequent, yada yada yada. Give me your opinions in the comments down below, or as a video response. I would love to hear from you. But, of course, as you can tell from the title, I am going to pose you a question. I'm going to answer it in my way. Why is it that we like trading card games? So, of course, in addition to telling you whether or not you like these theory-based videos, I would like your direct feedback as to the contents of this video and my opinion. Because, in addition to just giving you my opinion, I've actually done research for once and actually kind of looked at different pools of knowledge and came to a conclusion based on other people's information and other people's opinions in addition to my own. So, of course, who's better to ask for more opinions than you guys? So, in addition to giving me your opinions on what I'm talking about today, tell me why you like trading card games. Not just Yu-Gi-Oh! If you play other trading card games, I would like to hear your individual reasons for liking those card games as well. That's very important, because we're not just talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! We are talking about all trading card games. But of course, I'm going to be focusing on the big four in this video, which of course being Yu-Gi-Oh!, Cardfight Vanguard, Magic the Gathering, and the Pokemon TCG. So, why is it that we like trading card games? In addition to thinking that I have the answer as to why we like these trading card games, I also think that I have come up with the answer as to why one person may enjoy one card game over the other. Hence why people who play Yu-Gi-Oh! Have such an in-depth loathing for Magic the Gathering despite never have played the game. But also, in addition to that, why is it that it's such a big part of nerd and geek culture, so to speak? And why is it that someone who plays Call of Duty, for example, may not necessarily like a trading card game? So, when it comes to trading card games, we need to break it down and think of them less as trading card games than just games in general. So a trading card game is very unique in the fact that we are playing with cards, obviously. But different because actually cards, think of them as a piece of game code. So if you're playing a video game, all of the elements for the game are there. And you have the constraints of the game to limit the things you can do just by nature. So it's the reason why in a PlayStation 1 game you couldn't like just go straight off into the distance. There would normally be an invisible wall in the way to stop you. The game will limit you to what you can do just by playing the game and just by nature. However, board games and of course trading card games are different. You have all the tools and you can do what you wish with these tools, and the rules put in place with these games are what shape the experience we have. So with this in mind, the rules that any one card game puts in place is really going to be the ultimate decider as to why one person may like one card game over another, because those rules are going to dictate the experience that that player has. So why is it that one card game is better than another, and why is it that one person has a preference? The main reason, in addition to the rules and the experience that those rules shape, is freedom. Freedom is going to be universal in all these card games because the freedom to activate or to use a card or to put something into motion in any one of these card games is ultimately what's going to be the deciding factor in whether or not you like the game or enjoy it. This is why I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the most popular card game at all at the moment. I'm sorry, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the most popular. The main reason is that any one time you can activate a card from your hand, your deck, your graveyard, your banner stone, your field. You can put a monster in your spell and trap card zone. You can put spell and traps in your monsters, and it's ridiculous. You can play so many different cards, and there's so little restriction in the actual game mechanics as to what cards you can play. 10 years ago, if a card was released, that card can still be used from a card set that was released 10 minutes ago. And of course, yeah, sure, I can use Black Luster Soldier in any pretty much deck I want, assuming I can meet the requirements. And actually, in most cases, it's not going to be a hindrance. I can play Black Luster Soldier in a Reptile deck, and it'd be amazing. And I can use it in its own deck, and it'd still be equally as good. But that is the main thing with Yu-Gi-Oh! Is freedom. The other card games are limited in their freedom. They are limited in varying degrees, which is what's going to dictate their popularity. But it's the reason why I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the most popular, because it is the most freedom. However, this is also its biggest curse, because in addition to being the most free, like you can use cards from 10 years ago with cards 10 minutes ago, and you can use pretty much any card in conjunction with any other card, it means that over time, power creep occurs, which we are all aware of, which of course is another video for another day, which makes the game incredibly unstable and unbalanced. And we know this to be true. This is why I can be so enthusiastic about Yu-Gi-Oh! And hate it with every fibre of my being at any one time. But let's compare Yu-Gi-Oh! To Cardfight Vanguard, which I think is the most limited of all of these card games. Of course, Cardfight Vanguard requires you to have 16 slots in your deck required just for triggers. These trigger cards can only be used with cards of the same clan, or type as they're also known, which means you can't really use different clans together effectively. You can do it in some decks. I think there's literally only one deck that can do that effectively though. So you already have 16 cards dedicated into your deck, which you can't really deviate from because most of them are set in stone for a particular clan. You can't really deviate from that clan. In addition to the pace of Vanguard being much slower than, of course, Yu-Gi-Oh! Which can, of course, be really, really fast at any one point, or, of course, be slow. You can dictate the speed in Yu-Gi-Oh! Unlike you can in Cardfight Vanguard. So, in addition to that, though, Cardfight Vanguard are also releasing archetypes. So, in addition to being limited by a clan and the amount of triggers you can use, you're also limited by an archetype if you want to play it. The only reason why I play Cardfight Vanguard is because they have an archetype called Musketeers. But, in addition to only being able to use Neo Nectar cards with these cards, I can only use Musketeers, which means that this deck is a standard build because there's really no other variation you can have with this deck. Which is why I think, even though it's the newest and probably the most interesting of all these 4 card games, it's the least popular. So, we've established why card games may be more popular or less popular than each other, but that's not the question we're asking. We are asking, why is it that we like trading card games at all? And I think this is down to a very simple fact, and I think we need to break down the term card game and just talk about games in general. And we're going to talk about 2 very different perspectives. So let's think of it like this: Western and Eastern. I think if you like card games, you are of an Eastern perspective. And if you're not, you're of a Western perspective. Keep in mind, this is not necessarily the absolute attitudes of either East or West. This is merely only an analogy. So let's think of it this way. In the West, if you play a game which utilises guns, for example, a player holding a gun in a Western game, this gun is an object of power. It is what makes the user powerful. Without it, the user would be powerless. And of course, it's an object of power. It's a power fantasy. To hold a gun, to be able to cause death or destruction with said item is a very empowering thing. It is an object that empowers us, obviously. Whilst, if you were to go from an Eastern perspective, a game which utilises a gun, Mega Man. Mega Man is a robot that can turn his arm into a gun. Immediately, the gun is not an object of power. He is the weapon. He is the gun. It's not merely an object of power, it is a facilitator of power. The gun's not powerful because it's a gun. It's powerful because Mega Man is the person using it. The amount of power that he has personally is what will dictate the power of his weapon. So, let's translate that to card games. I think if you're of an Eastern perspective, you will like card games because if you look at a card, a person that likes Call of Duty will not be able to see the implied power that we will be able with it. It itself is not a powerful object. I can't kill people, I can't hurt people with it, I can give someone a paper cut? That's pretty much it. The implied power with it at any one point is limited. It's not like a disc, for example, like a gaming disc, where you at least have implied value, like monetary value. It's paper. I've coated it in plastic to protect it, but it's paper and plastic. I could rip it in half right now. That's how a person who plays Call of Duty would see it. They'd see it as a piece of paper. Whilst, of course, if you are of an Eastern perspective, you would see it not as an object of power, you see it as the facilitator of power. When you play a card game, you are not summoning the Blackluster Soldier. You are the Blackluster Soldier. It's not using its effect, you are using its effect. These are merely tools for me to do battle with you and vice versa. It is a way that I can project myself and my personality and my being into a game. It is a form of escapism and is a form of a power fantasy, just like Call of Duty, but just in a different way. It is also a reason why it's such a big part of geek and nerd culture. It is all a form of escapism. So, trading card games, it makes perfect sense that it would be part of geek culture and why actually a person who likes Call of Duty wouldn't necessarily like them. I'm not saying that, of course, a person who likes Call of Duty doesn't like card games. I'm sure there are plenty of you who like playing first-person shooters and also like to give people paper cuts with card games, but that's beside the point. But that's my general thoughts and opinions, and of course I do have sources as to what really made me formulate this opinion. So in the description there will be a couple of links to some videos which I really do recommend you watching. They are from a fantastic team on YouTube called Extra Credits. They talk mainly about video game theory and practice and all the industry with video games, but of course they do talk about games in general, and of course links in the description to that. In the comments down below as a video response, do tell me what you think of this video. Do you like theory videos, and what do you think about training card games in general? And say hi. I mean, I say hello, how are you at the beginning of each video, and you don't really tell me how you are. But that's pretty much it. I'm Jack Clark, the Eagle Musketeer. More videos coming out to you soon, but until then, goodbye.